We can start now.
Okay. Okay, sir, I'll start then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good afternoon to all. On behalf of the Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our esteemed panelists for the day. We have with us Professor L. Raja, sir, Director and Head at Gandhigram Rural Institute, President Indian Adult Education Association, and also our educational partner under Delhi University's flagship scheme for academic collaboration called Vidya Vistar, Ms. Kalpana Kaushik ma'am, in charge director at IAEA, and Dr. Rakesh Parmar, the HOD for mathematics at Makhanlal Chaturvedi Government Girls PG College, Khandwa, Madhya Pradesh. I also welcome our HOD, Professor Rajesh sir, who is with us today. We are grateful to each and every member who has shown keen participation and taken the time to be here. As a background for today's session, the department began observing the Literacy Week from 7 September onwards based on the UNESCO's theme of literacy for a human-centered recovery, narrowing the digital divide. The activities during the week included essay and poster competition, pledge taken by the students, events organized by Baba Ki Pathshala, skill mapping and competency survey of the unorganized sector workers, including the rickshaw and the e-rickshaw pullers of North Delhi, and many more. To begin today's panel discussion on role of higher education institutions for volunteerism towards 100% literacy, I would now like to request our head of department, Professor Rajesh sir, to please welcome the other panelists and share his valuable views.
Thank you, Parnita. Thank you, our esteemed guests today, Professor L. Raja, Kalpana ji, and Professor Rakesh. And also, thanks other faculty members, research scholar, students, and the members from Indian Adult Education Association and other uh, bodies on adult education. Today, we all, as part of the International Literacy Week 2021, we are having a discussion webinar on 100% literacy, especially the role of volunteerism, a very, very key position. And we have today very lucky that India's most, prestigious and largest organization, that is Indian Adult Education Association, president and the director, and I also take myself under that count as a vice president of the organization, along with my this position. That today we are discussing on the volunteerism and 100% literacy. We all are aware that Government of India is also having a 15 days program along with the NOS and NCRT and other members playing the very important role on this count. I could remember day before yesterday, we have also a program of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and the committee which adopted 5 villages uh, that had a committee of 10% in University of Delhi, and I belong to a member, professor of social work, and other members deliberated upon this issue of literacy in these areas. I, Parmita, today will have very few sentences, and I will request other members to kindly on detail ponder over that issue. How I see 100% literacy and volunteerism from higher education side. We used to say, and we used to remember the 1977 guidelines, and since then UGC's 11th five-year plan guidelines, where it is said that extension is the third dimension. Now under the extension and under the new education policy 2020, and also sustainable development goal 2030 goal 4, we are especially talking about, we have to see literacy in terms of higher education, how we will see, that component. I used to say that higher education is a place where a vast human resources in terms of volunteers, students, undergraduate, postgraduate, and research scholars are available. That youth in the productive and reproductive age group as a volunteer can play very, very important role. I could just say that the government of India has a direction that under the new education policy, there will be a separate optional paper on NSS activities, and that will be under the credit. While passing the new education policy 2020, the chairperson of University of Delhi's committee said that now credit and non-credit, everything will be credit in new education policy. What I wish to say, that even the volunteers, which earlier UGC were telling that provide them weightage, provide them some credits, that was there, but we could not provide the volunteers weightage, incentive, and then a motivation was not there. So in new education policy, which I closely see in higher education, even the non-credit issues will be having the credit. So students doing the adult education program, NCC program, and other environment and other activity will be a credit program. We can have the papers on that. We can have the other kind of a credit on that. So that is one important thing. And without the role of higher education, especially the students, undergraduate and postgraduate students, the 100% literacy or the volunteerism will not be possible nor successful. So how successfully engage and involve the students, scholars of higher education in internship, in village mobilization, in community mobilization, providing community need assessment, which I could just see that Kalpana ji will say that a month-long program which was conceptualized, I think Professor S.Y. Shah, L. Raja Chaudhary have all provided the conceptual framework of 1 month program of skill enhancement. I just give hint for that. And the students, I see the 6 students who were there from University of Delhi's side, their level of confidence and level of engagement with the community was visible from that side, that how much they are confident to engage and involve in that kind of a thing. Second point that I wish to say, that today we do not talk in terms of 3 R's only. We have to see the financial literacy, the digital literacy, the legal literacy. Rather than 3 R's, the financial literacy, skill and competency mapping, which IAEA did for 1 month long program, that should start first. And along with that, 3 R's activity could happen. It could happen as part of internship. It could happen as part of community engagement, so that students can do take some kind of a credit, part of the content and curriculum, and also the researchers can develop better research paper, empirical research paper, and show to the government of India, to the United Nations and other bodies, look that on the basis of the empirical studies, these are the findings of the community level kind of a thing, because it is very, very important for achieving the 100% literacy, and it is our role, And the by and large, the last point I wish to say, that while sitting in an institution and talking adult education, talking lifelong learning, we are doing formal kind of a thing in terms of MA, MPhil or PhD or other kind of a thing. But once we talk about lifelong learning, we used to say non-formal and informal learning. how we engage the unorganized sector people where the field work was done, how we develop paper on that, how we do innovation on that, how we do incubation with that. That is very, very important thing, that what are the outcome based field work for achieving the 100% literacy by 2030. That remains a very, very important challenge for us. We understand that we could achieve 100% literacy by 2030 or 35. What is required? Again, a missionary mode kind of a thing, a missionary zeal, a missionary approach, where we can engage and involve the large section of the young people, which normally Professor S.Y. used to say that younger generation population need to be engaged, students need to be involved kind of a thing. They can be leader, they can be the torch bearer of that. And that important thing is very, very important for our point of view. So what I wish to say, Parinita, in a very quick sentence is that we understand that whatever the goal of sustainable social development 2030 and what we have taken in new education policy, in terms of the volunteerism, in terms of having the 100% literacy, and literacy not only 3 R's but all dimension. We talk more about the digital literacy. So when today also a very quick survey which Parinita was just hinting towards with the metro e-rickshaw people, the first thing that I ask the students, you ask them how many of them have the smart telephone, how many have the e-rickshaw, electronic e-rickshaw, how many have them the handmade e-rickshaw, rickshaw. That kind of a thing will make the development, while undertaking the activities and linking with them with the self-help group and micro credit programs. So a systematic involvement is required for that purpose. So I will just end by saying only these few sentences, Parinita, and giving space to others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And we all hope to keep that motto with us, that there is an urgent need for volunteerism so that we are able to achieve 100% global literacy by 2030. Thank you so much. With this, I would now like to invite Professor L. Raja, sir, who is the director and head at Gandhigram Rural Institute, Tamil Nadu, and the president for Indian Adult Education Association, also known as IAEA, and also our educational partner under the Vidya Vistar scheme, to please present his input. So, sir, may I please request you to share your slides?
Good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, thank you. Once again, namaste, vanakkam to all of you. It's a great privilege for me to be with you in this very important event. In this, I'm also grateful to Dr. Rajesh and his team for having given me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this role of higher education institutions for volunteerism towards 100% literacy. I am indeed very happy to share with a great audience in this platform. There are a number of people after me. Kalpana Kaushik is the director, Indian Adult Education Association, is going to share their thoughts. Professor Rakesh Parmar is the HOD, Department of Mathematics, Government Girls PG College, Khandwa MP, Madhya Pradesh. And Dr. Rajesh is the head of the Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension, University of Delhi. In this, I also seen that Dr. S.Y. Shah, who was heading the department and director of the Department of Adult Education then and now Lifelong Learning, Jawaharlal Nehru University. And I also seen that Dr. A. Suryakanti, the former director of the Department of Lifelong Learning, Gandhigram University, and many veterans in the field of adult and continuing education, and a lot of field workers and students and research scholars all join in this. I'm really happy that what I am going to say about a few words, that the title is very important for us. And when we talk about the role of higher education institutions for volunteerism towards 100% literacy, and the Gandhigram Rural University, it has its own strength, and they have had a lot of experience in this angle also. Before getting into that, and we would be able to see what is volunteerism and what is the meaning of volunteerism, why volunteerism is important and essential, and when it is needed, where have to be implemented, and how, to whom. All these points we will discuss one by one. What is the meaning of volunteerism? Volunteerism is a voluntary act of an individual or group freely giving time and labor, intellectual, for community service. Many volunteers are specifically trained in the areas they work, such as medicines, education, or emergency act, rescue, other services as and when it is needed. The basis, such as in response to the natural calamities and natural disasters. So this is the kind of volunteerism one has to provide in order to help the society. And why it is very important? Because it is a selfless service to the local community, and whenever the local community needs in terms of change and transformations, volunteerism is very important in order to make changes. And when it is needed, like the government of India has introduced a very good program for all the higher education institutions, like Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. I think at the introductory remarks, Dr. Rajesh also mentioned about this. So Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, all the higher education institutions are supposed to take it up, and a few villages and 5 panchayats in their own service areas, and to implement a lot of activities with the help of students. So in such a way, the government of India had given a chance for the Gandhigram University. It's not only for us, for all the universities, but what we did was, with the help of the sanitary inspector course students, for 1 month in one panchayat, we trained the people how to be more, clean and in a hygienic atmosphere, how to live. And in that particular time, the volunteers, the students, volunteers, stayed and worked in that particular panchayat, made that panchayat as a unique civic body system in that panchayat. And also, another example I would like to quote in this, when Dr. Aram was the Vice Chancellor, Gandhigram Rural University, for 6 years, at Gandhigram always adopts villages for service. In one of the village named Kannimanuthu village, in that village, the entire university, launched the program in order to fulfill full literacy, nil poverty, and energy, full development of the village. Lot of strategies were included, and that particular village, within few months, with the help of the government and the volunteers from the Gandhigram University, and that village became one of the model village in those days by creating biogas plant, community biogas plant, and training for the farmers to inculcate and cultivate their land maximally, and create the and increase the economic conditions, environmental protections. All these things, it was possible for us to do it with the help of the Santi Sena students, NSS students, and other volunteers from the university. And also we did way back regarding the 3 R's. We always think about 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. And in the higher education institutions, we also have 3 triple effect like tripod in teaching, research, and extension. Another important 3: informal education, formal education, and non-formal education. These 3 things are very, very important with regard to the adult continuing education department, and also it is also important to the higher education institution to impart these informations and ideas to inculcate this, not only the illiterate people, but literate people and those who are really involving in village development activities through panchayat and all other activities. So this 3 R's and 3 teaching methods and 3 informal and non-formal methods, these are very important in order to make this country into full literacy by 2035. As you know, the new education policy and also the sustainable goal, these 2 important areas, we have to involve more students and to make a great impact. How we can do it? We have to adopt certain methodologies, and according to the new education policy, the responsibilities is given to the NCERT to frame the framework for conducting this literacy, increasing the literacy level, and also GER, gross enrollment ratio. By 2035, at least 50% of the gross enrollment ratio should be developed, and also to fulfill the full literacy in India. So that is the aim, and towards achieving this goal, what are the roles and the responsibilities of the higher education institutions? Teaching, research, extension, project-oriented, publication-oriented, dissemination of knowledge and information to the villages. So what the Gandhigram Rural University does towards achieving this? Number 1, apart from teaching, research, and extension, project, publications, the students are asked to go and stay in the village. It's called Village Placement Program. Under this Village Placement Program, students and staff members are asked to stay in the village for 7 days, understand the problem, identify the problems, and prioritize the problems, based on the problem to work and to some extent help the people to come up from the problems. So this is one area. Another important area that in India, total colleges and universities as of now, 1,008 universities, colleges, more than 40,000 colleges. And these universities and colleges, if it is properly, entire university students are involved in the literacy movement as a movement, as a mission mode, it is possible for us to achieve this 100% literacy. The extracurricular activities like NSS, NCC, National Youth, NOIKS, UBA, Red Cross Society, Green Club, Youth Clubs, Movie Clubs, Shanti Sena. It is one of the very important component in Gandhigram University. Instead of NCC, we have Shanti Sena, a peace brigade, and through non-violent activities. And village clubs, tourist clubs. All these clubs and the extracurricular activities have to be properly trained and planned and implement it in the village level, and implement in the what you call the cluster approach, and implement through the adopted villages in all universities, cities, and villages. In cities, mostly they can cover in the slum areas where the downtrodden people are mostly living in that particular areas, and in the villages, and they can always try to help through the panchayats. And involving students for literacy activities, how? It should be like a mission mode during the vaccinations. Now, because of the COVID, and the vaccination is going on throughout the country, especially yesterday, Tamil Nadu government made a massive inoculations and these vaccinations throughout the state. Within 25 to 30 lakhs of people are vaccinated yesterday itself, only one day. Like that, in a mission mode, we have to create this and to achieve this goal. And mass movement during the weekend, and the students may be asked to make as a rally, as a street play, as a skit, and take the messages to the villages and to understand, make them to understand and realize that it is very, very important. It is not reading arithmetic alone, because no government helps the poor people and the vendors to make use of the mobile. But nowadays, even the most illiterate people would be able to make use of the WhatsApp, internet, and all the gadgets which are available now for the people. Like that, this mass movement would be able to create a lot of changes through our students. And earlier it was there when the NSS was having a peak at the literacy movement. Each one teach one is as one of the outreach activities. Like that, now again we can make, it is not only each one teach one, each one catch one. Each one should catch one illiterate people and make them to become literate. And for such students, we have to give proper incentives, and for the best students, we have to encourage them to do such kind of activities and make them to involve more and more in this. And then awards for the successful institutions. If such institutions are really doing great things, like we have NIRF ranking, recently it has been released at the all India level, and I'm very happy to say to our friends that the IIT Madras becomes one of the first rank in the NIRF. Like that, there are many institutions, they have come up, IITS and also IASC, and many central and state universities and private universities are doing really good work. So for such institutions, we have to identify and give such awards for them. Provide more credit weightage so that the students would be able to come forward and do these activities, and which is possible now with the new education policy 2020, because the cross enrollment and cross taking what you call the subjects in, for example, science students can take some subject in the arts, and engineering students can take some subjects in the arts. Like that, multi we say that interdisciplinary, like that multidisciplinary credit system is introduced in the new education policy 2020. Like that, we have to provide the weightage as well as credits for the students, those who are involved in such activities. Sufficient funds also very important in order to implement effectively. So what is more important than next? The coordinated effort is very, very important. It is not that only one government, it is not that only one person, it is not that only one institution would be able to achieve this. So coordinated efforts with the local panchayat, with the youth clubs, NGOs, self-help group members, CBOs, and philanthropists. There are a number of philanthropists. They are really coming forward to invest money and provide whatever facilities that they need. So such philanthropists we have to identify and catch them, and big and small industries, the medium and other industries, and they are also under the CSR fund. They are also willing to help, and we can also make use of such industries. And youth volunteers in the villages, still the fans club, the cine actors fans club, as well as the youth clubs are really active, and we can bring them together for these activities. And religious institutions, these religious institutions also plays a vital role in this kind of activities. So we have to have a coordinated, a genetic approach in order to make 100% literacy. Finally, we have to see how a bird would be able to bring various materials to bring and make the living room for the bird. Like that, this is a very hard one, but at the same time we have to make it more reality and make them to understand it is very, very important. So in order to make this country as a fully literate country by 2035, all the missions, all the government and non-governmental organizations, all the clubs, all the available CBOs, we have to come together as a mission mode to achieve this as a great achievers. This is very important for us. At the same time, we have to see how the NCERT is going to bring a implementation strategy. Accordingly, we have to plan and strategize this, and with all the higher education institutions to involve the students, to enable them to work for this, make them to understand that this is very important as a citizen of India, and we have to achieve this. We have to come together and work together. Thank you very much for your kind patient hearing, and towards the end we can also share some of the questions and on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful presentation. It was very, very thoughtful. So thank you so much. And as sir mentioned, we would be taking up questions at the end. And with that, I invite our next panelist, Ms. Kalpana Kaushik ma'am, who is the in-charge director at Indian Adult Education Association. She is also an administrative officer at International Institute of Adult and Lifelong Education, and also a membership officer at the Reading Association of India. She is the program in charge for IGNOU Study Center for 3 programs, and has also published a book called A to Z Zindagi, and wherein 2 more are yet to be released. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being here, and over to you.
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Audible.
Wow, I cannot open my camera because network here is very, it's moving like it. So you can hear my voice only. Thank you very much for inviting me as a panelist. So I'm part of volunteer organization. I can give you some practical examples also. Well, assuming its responsibility towards the society and the country, higher education institutes should vow to remove the illiteracy from the society. Higher education institutions should support volunteerism. There was a literacy rate of 14% in the post-independence era. Today, it has gone up to 80%. This is the effort of volunteerism and higher education institutions as well as the government. Well, as per the goals of the National Education Policy 2020 and Nipun Bharat Mission, there is a swift and effective 30 hours program to achieve foundation literacy, and you can make literate in 30 hours only. The Literacy Initiative offered a democratic space to those activists who joined the program as organizers or volunteers with the hope of using the limited space to try to open the space further. But our experiences have belied all these expectations, the reason being that the ruling political elite have seen to it that teaching learning process at the literacy centers run by the institution remain firmly under their control. Literacy campaigns has made impressive inroads into our country. It is also clear that the gains of the campaign could be sustained only through mass organization of the poor, mass participation in the social and economic development programs, and of course, universalization of primary education, which is in our constitution, which is mentioned in our constitution. But I have seen that the programs generally gives you data, not the skills. Now, uh, voluntary efforts, the higher institutions can join hands with different NGOs working in the field of adult education, skills, and vocational education. They can also collaborate with corporate sectors. Attaining total literacy is a goal that needs total political commitment, which is often found in short supply. The literacy campaigns over the years were expected to help socially conscious and politically advanced forces to take roots in our society. I have pointed out 10 points. 100% साक्षरता की दिशा में स्वयं सेवा के लिए उच्च संस्थानों की भूमिकाएं 10 पॉइंट्स मैंने नोट किए हैं, मैं आपके साथ उनको शेयर करना चाहूंगी। उच्च शिक्षण संस्थान खाली समय में अपनी आधारभूत अपने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को ऐसे समूहों को उपयोग के लिए निःशुल्क या न्यूनतम शुल्क पर उपलब्ध करा सकते हैं जिनकी वित्तीय स्थिति बेहतर नहीं है किंतु साक्षरता की दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दे रहे हैं। उच्च शिक्षण संस्थान अपने विद्यार्थियों को 100% साक्षरता के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करने में योगदान के लिए प्रोत्साहित कर सकते हैं और हर विद्यार्थी एक व्यक्ति को साक्षर करने का बीड़ा उठाए, इसकी योजना बना सकते हैं। बेहतर शिक्षक के निर्माण का दायित्व भी इन्हीं उच्च शिक्षण संस्थानों को लेना होगा जो मिशन मोड में साक्षरता को आगे बढ़ाने का प्रयास करें। देश भर में साक्षरता को लेकर व्यापक बहस और विमर्श को पैदा करने की दिशा में कार्य करने का वातावरण बनाने की दिशा में इनकी बड़ी भूमिका हो सकती है। मीन्स दे कैन टच द फोर्थ पिलर ऑफ द डेमोक्रेसी विच इज मीडिया। शिक्षकों की सामाजिक स्थिति एवं छवि को बेहतर बनाने के लिए प्रयास करना होगा ताकि लोग शिक्षक और शिक्षा को आदर की दृष्टि से देखें। एक एग्जाम्पल मेरे ध्यान में आता है कि अभी 2017 में मार्था फेरल अवार्ड की घोषणा हुई जिसमें मनु गुलाटी नाम की एक गवर्नमेंट स्कूल की टीचर को अवार्ड दिया गया। उस टीचर का मेन काम जो था पढ़ाना था, जिसमें 8 से 2 बजे तक वो स्कूल में रहती थी और 2 से 5 तक कम्युनिटी में रहती थी ताकि लड़कियों को पढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित कर सके, मोटिवेट कर सके, उनके पेरेंट्स को उनकी पढ़ाई कंटिन्यू रखने के लिए रिक्वेस्ट कर सके और उसमें वो डिफरेंट अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम भी चलाती थी उस 2 घंटे में। हमें और ऐसे टीचर्स चाहिए जो ऐसे काम कर सके। और जब मैंने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात की कि अपने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट यूज कर सकते हैं, तो मैंने ये एक एग्जांपल बांग्लादेश में देखा था। जब मैं ढाका में एशियन लिटरेसी कॉन्फ्रेंस अटेंड करने गई थी तो वहां पर ढाका यूनिवर्सिटी जो थी करीब रात के 8:30 बजे तक खुली हुई थी। तो मेरे साथ जो व्यक्ति थे जो मुझे घुमा रहे थे वहां, उनसे मैंने पूछा कि ये यूनिवर्सिटी इतनी देर तक कैसे खुली हुई है, तो उन्होंने कहा यहाँ पे डिफरेंट कोर्सेज चलते हैं और लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम्स चलते हैं। तो हम लोग उनका एग्जाम्पल लेके, एक और डेवलपिंग कंट्री का एग्जाम्पल लेके अपने यहाँ लिटरेसी को बढ़ावा दे सकते हैं। शिक्षा के अधिकार की भावना को विस्तार देते हुए शिक्षा शुल्क में नियमन, गरीब और मेधावी विद्यार्थियों के लिए छात्रवृत्ति आदि की समुचित और समय पर व्यवस्था करना। नॉर्मली हम देखते हैं कि वॉलंटरिज्म की बात जब हम करते हैं तो हम सबसे नीचे वाले को पकड़ते हैं कि तुम वॉलंटरी करो। स्टूडेंट्स के साथ ऐसा करते हैं कि तुम वॉलंटरी करो, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। पर ये एक्चुअली आना चाहिए रिवर्स साइड से, मतलब यूनिवर्सिटी की साइड से आना चाहिए कि हम लोग वॉलंटरी करते हैं, तुम लोगों को कुछ ना कुछ इंसेंटिव दिए जाएंगे। जैसा कि डॉक्टर राजा ने भी कहा कि हम लोगों को समय पर उन्हें इंसेंटिव देना चाहिए। और एक अच्छी चीज की जा सकती है, ऑनलाइन पाठ्यक्रमों एवं कक्षाओं को बढ़ावा देना, ताकि साक्षरता से दूर लोगों को अपनी सुविधा के हिसाब से कक्षा लेने और खुद को साक्षर बनाने की दिशा में सोचने का अवसर मिले। साक्षरता के लिए काम करने वाली संस्थाओं एवं संस्थानों के मेंटरशिप एवं काउंसलिंग का दायित्व भी हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट्स ले सकते हैं, ताकि उनको बेहतर दिशा मिल सके। कौशल विकास और रोजगार परक शिक्षा के विस्तार के माध्यम से लोगों को शिक्षा की ओर आकर्षित करना, और दूर भारत के इलाकों में शिक्षा के विस्तार के लिए अपने विद्यार्थियों को फील्ड वर्क और परियोजना कार्य, प्रोजेक्ट वर्क पे के माध्यम से जोड़ना, ताकि उनके माध्यम से उन इलाकों में जागरूकता पैदा की जा सके। तो हम लोग ये सब करके शिक्षा को 100% लिटरेसी अचीव करना बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है, अगर हम छोटे छोटे स्टेप्स लें तो। मेरा इतना ही सबमिशन है। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी। ओवर टू यू परिणीता।
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful the way you provided excellent examples of how we can move towards lifelong learning. So thank you so much. And with this, I invite our last panelist for the day, Dr. Rakesh Parmar, who is the HOD and Associate Professor of Mathematics at Government Girls PG College, Khandwa in Madhya Pradesh. He possesses an experience of 22 years in teaching at the higher education level. Having published more than 15 papers and presented at 3 international conferences, he continues to guide students for social activities through the college's Ramanujam Mathematics Club. So over to you, Dr. Rakesh, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So आज का ये जो दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय विद्या विस्तार श्रृंखला के तहत जो गतिविधियां साल भर आयोजित होती हैं, उसके अंतर्गत आज एडल्ट एजुकेशन एंड एक्सटेंशन डिपार्टमेंट के हेड प्रोफेसर राजेश कुमार सर और आईए के प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर राजा सर, डॉक्टर कल्पना मैम और इस पूरे इवेंट के ऑर्गेनाइजर एंड कोऑर्डिनेटर परिणीता मैम और सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स। आज का जो थीम है, रोल ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस इन वॉलंटियरिज्म इन 100% लिटरेसी। सो इस टॉपिक पर आने के पहले सबसे बड़ा जो क्वेश्चन हमारे सामने आता वो ये है कि हमें साक्षरता और शिक्षित, लिटरेसी और एजुकेशन, इन दोनों के बीच का जो एक डिफरेंस है, उस डिफरेंस को हमें समझने की बहुत ज़रूरत है। इसलिए क्योंकि हमारे जितने भी साक्षरता मिशन होते हैं तो वो प्रारंभ होते हैं साक्षरता के उद्देश्य को लेकर, लेकिन बाद में वो अपने मूल उद्देश्य से भटक जाते हैं। और यही कारण है कि हमारे यहाँ पर जो साक्षरता में जो प्रतिशत वृद्धि होनी चाहिए थी, अपेक्षित वृद्धि, वो अपेक्षित वृद्धि अब नहीं हो पा रही है। इसको यदि हम आंकड़ों की दृष्टि से अगर देखें तो 2011 की जो जनगणना है उसके अनुसार भारत में साक्षरता का जो प्रतिशत था वो 74.04% था। लेकिन इस साक्षरता के इस परसेंटेज में अगर हम महिला साक्षरता और पुरुष साक्षरता का अगर अंतर देखें तो महिला साक्षरता 65% और पुरुष साक्षरता 82%, यानी पुरुष और महिला साक्षरता में एक बड़ा गैप है। तो जब कभी भी हम साक्षरता को सफल बनाने के लिए स्वयंसेवी संगठनों और स्वयंसेवकों की भूमिका का आकलन करते हैं तो हमें ऐसे संगठनों की पहचान सुनिश्चित करना होगी जिनका पेनिट्रेशन महिलाओं में है। क्योंकि हमारा जो देश है, हमारे देश के जो कस्टम्स हैं, रीति रिवाज हैं, और आज़ादी के 70 वर्ष पूर्ण होने के पश्चात अभी हम आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव 75वां वर्ष मनाने की और अग्रसर हैं और उसके अंतर्गत हम सारे कार्यक्रम कर रहे हैं। लेकिन बड़े खेद की बात है कि आज भी ग्रामीण अंचलों में यदि हम जाते हैं तो पुरुष और महिलाओं में भेद की दृष्टि आती है। यानी कोई भी अगर हम स्वयंसेवी संगठन तैयार करते हैं तो क्या वह स्वयंसेवी संगठन महिलाओं तक अपने कार्यक्रम लेकर जाने के लिए समस्त प्रतिबंधों से मुक्त है? यदि वह प्रतिबंधों से मुक्त है तो निश्चित तौर पर हम 100% साक्षरता के लक्ष्य को स्वयंसेवी संगठनों के माध्यम से प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑफिस, भारतीय सांख्यिकी विभाग के द्वारा अपनी जो 75th रिपोर्ट जो है इन्होंने जारी की थी, हाउस होल्ड सोशल कंजम्पशन ऑन एजुकेशन इन इंडिया, तो उसके अनुसार यदि हम बात करें तो भारत में 13% पुरुष 3 से, ये जो वर्ग है आयु वर्ग 3 से लेकर 55 वर्ष के आयु वर्ग में, तो 13% पुरुष और 19% महिलाएं कभी भी अपना नामांकन किसी भी स्तर के स्कूल्स, प्री प्राइमरी स्कूल्स, यानी जिसको हम कह सकते हैं कि जहां पर हमें औपचारिक साक्षरता मिशन या औपचारिक साक्षरता की हम बात करते हैं, उन इंस्टीट्यूशंस में नहीं कराया ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में। और यही अगर प्रतिशत हम शहरी क्षेत्रों में देखें तो शहरों में 7% पुरुष और ग्रामीण क्षेत्र शहरों में 10% महिला। यानी आप देखें कि अगर हम ग्रामीण महिला और पुरुष का अंतर देखें तो ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में 13% और 19%, यानी 6% महिलाएं अधिक संख्या में हैं जिनका कहीं भी नामांकन औपचारिक शिक्षा के लिए नहीं हुआ है। किंतु जब शहरों में हम जाते हैं तो यह अंतर घटकर 3% रह जाता है। इसका सीधा सा अर्थ है कि यदि हमें 100% साक्षरता को अचीव करना है तो हमारा पूरा फोकस ग्रामीण अंचल और ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में होना चाहिए। अब हम बात करते हैं कि इसमें उच्च शिक्षा का अपना क्या भूमिका हो सकती है। तो यहाँ पर मैं सर्वप्रथम तो दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय का उदाहरण मैं बार बार प्रस्तुत करता हूँ और धन्यवाद भी देता हूँ परिणीता मैम और डॉक्टर राजेश सर को कि जिन्होंने एमपी के दूरस्थ अंचल में स्थापित महाविद्यालय के साथ एमओयू साइन किया और उस एमओयू के थ्रू सामुदायिक विकास, एडल्ट एजुकेशन और इस टाइप की जो सोशल एक्टिविटीज हैं उसमें हमारे महाविद्यालय के विद्यार्थियों को एंगेज करने का एक अवसर मिला। तो इस प्रकार की जो अनुकरणीय पहल है, नॉट ओनली दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी बल्कि देश के अन्य जो उच्च शिक्षण संस्थान है, फिर चाहे वो आईआईटीज हों, फिर चाहे वो एनआईटीज हों या सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटीज हों, वो एटलीस्ट अपने एरियाज में या उनका जो भी जियोग्राफिकल एरियाज है या अगर वो जियोग्राफिकल एरिया की बाउंड्रीज से बाहर जाना चाहते हैं तो एटलीस्ट 10 to 20 कॉलेजेस को वो अडॉप्ट करें, उनके साथ एमओयू साइन करें, उनको गाइड करें, उनका मार्गदर्शन करें कि किस प्रकार से वो लिटरेसी रेट्स को 100% अचीव करने में अपने स्टूडेंट्स को, अपने कॉलेज के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स को, अपने रिसोर्सेस को, क्योंकि कल्पना मैम ने एक बहुत सुंदर बात कही कि अगर हमारे जो हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं तो उनका 24 आवर्स यूटिलाइजेशन न हो तो एटलीस्ट 18 आवर्स, यानी अगर वो अर्ली मॉर्निंग में ओपन हो जाए जब नॉर्मल स्टूडेंट्स वहां नहीं जा रहे हैं या लेट आफ्टर 5 PM अगर वो नहीं जा रहे हैं तो उस समय उन रिसोर्सेस को हम किस प्रकार से यूज करें और वीक में 1 or 2 आवर हमारे फैकल्टीज के लिए, हमारे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए हम इसको किस प्रकार से बाध्यकारी बना पाएं। स्टार्टिंग में डॉक्टर राजेश सर और डॉक्टर राजा सर ने एक बात अच्छी बात की, एनईपी 2020, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020। तो मैं बड़े गर्व के साथ इस प्लेटफॉर्म में बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि हमारा राज्य मध्य प्रदेश एक देश का पहला राज्य है जहां पर इस सत्र से एनईपी को हायर एजुकेशन में पूर्णतः लागू कर दिया और उसके कहना चाहिए परिणाम, उसके साथ परिणाम हमें सामने दिख रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स के एनरोलमेंट्स के रूप में। कि जब पहली बार एनईपी में यह बात हुई थी कि साइंस का स्टूडेंट जो है वो आर्ट्स या आर्ट्स का स्टूडेंट साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग का स्टूडेंट कॉमर्स, कॉमर्स का स्टूडेंट, बोले इस प्रकार से वो अपने सब्जेक्ट्स का चयन करेगा, तो समाज के अंदर तो था ही, किंतु हायर एजुकेशन में हम काम करने वाले, उससे जुड़े हुए हम लोग जो है, हमारे मन में भी एक संशय था कि हाउ विल इट बिकम पॉसिबल, ये किस प्रकार से संभव होगा। किंतु आज हम जब देखते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ पर मेजर सब्जेक्ट के रूप में एक विद्यार्थी गणित विषय लेता है, वहीं वो माइनर सब्जेक्ट्स के रूप में हार्टिकल्चर्स को ले रहा है, वो हिंदी को ले रहा है, वो इंग्लिश को ले रहा है, वो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स को अपने एज ए माइनर सब्जेक्ट्स ले रहा है, और इलेक्टिव कोर्सेज के रूप में वो सब्जेक्ट्स ले रहा है। और एनएसएस को हमारे यहाँ पर एज ए सब्जेक्ट इस साल से एनएसएस, एनसीसी और भी बहुत सारे हैं जिसमें सामुदायिक सेवाएं भी एक विषय है, उनको मुख्य विषयों के साथ क्लब कर दिया गया है। अब ऐसे में जब विद्यार्थी एनएसएस के कार्यक्रमों में नो डाउट स्कूल और कॉलेजेस और यूनिवर्सिटीज लेवल पर एनएसएस की अपनी एक विंग होती है, बच्चे साल में उनका एक एकेडमिक कैलेंडर्स होता है, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली वो कैंपिंग करते हैं, गाँव में जाते हैं, वहाँ नाइट हॉल्ट करते हैं और बहुत सारे इस प्रकार के जागरूकता कार्यक्रम करते हैं। किंतु उसके बाद भी अल्टीमेटली उनको लगता है कि केवल एक सर्टिफिकेट ही तो मिल रहा है, बहुत ज्यादा एप्रिसिएशन वाली बात नहीं है। किंतु नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में उसके लिए क्रेडिट का प्रावधान किया गया है। अब विद्यार्थी अपने क्रेडिट्स को अर्न करेगा, और जब वो क्रेडिट्स को अर्न करेगा और वो क्रेडिट्स रिफ्लेक्ट होंगे उसकी मार्कशीट्स में, उसकी डिग्री में, तो डेफिनेटली आने वाले समय में वॉलंटियरिज्म, क्योंकि वॉलंटियरिज्म आप किसी को फोर्सफुली नहीं कर सकते, ये बाय हार्ट, यानी आप किसी से स्वयं सेवा कराना चाहते हैं तो वो स्वयं की अगर इच्छा नहीं है, आप उसे फोर्सफुली कर रहे हैं, तो वो ठीक है, एक फॉर्मेलिटी के तौर पे कर देगा, और जब वो फॉर्मेलिटी के तौर पे करेगा तो हम जो लिटरेसी के लिए जो हमारा उद्देश्य है उसको हम शायद ही कभी प्राप्त कर पाए। स्टार्टिंग में प्रोफेसर राजेश सर ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि हम यहाँ पर लिटरेसी का क्या अर्थ लें। तो शुरुआती दौर में जब साक्षरता अभियान प्रारंभ किए गए थे तो साक्षरता अभियान का सामान्य अर्थ सीधा सीधा ये लिया जाता था कि व्यक्ति जो है उसमें पढ़ने लिखने की समझ आ जाए, यानी वह छोटे छोटे सेंटेंसेस को पढ़ पाए, अपने हस्ताक्षर कर पाए, वह नोटिस बोर्ड्स को पढ़ पाए, या कुछ सूचनाएं हैं वो पढ़ पाए। ने हम उससे बहुत ज्यादा एजुकेटेड होने की अपेक्षा नहीं करते हैं और न ही ये कहीं इसका उद्देश्य है। किंतु जब वर्तमान समय के परिप्रेक्ष्य में हम बात करते हैं तो यहाँ पर डिजिटल लिटरेसी, फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी, इंफॉर्मेशन लिटरेसी, इस प्रकार सूचना के साक्षरता, वित्तीय साक्षरता, आपका डिजिटल साक्षरता, तो ये भी एक अलग अलग आयाम है। तो ये जो नए नए आयाम है, इन नए आयामों में हम हायर एजुकेशन के माध्यम से बहुत अच्छे से जोड़ सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमारी जो यंग जनरेशन है वो बहुत टेक्नो सेवी है। और जब हम बात करते हैं कोविड के समय की, तो कोविड के साथ एक नया वर्ड आया है और वो है आपदा में अवसर और न्यू नॉर्मल। तो आज से 2 वर्ष पहले जब 2020 मार्च 2020 में कोविड का संक्रमण फैलना स्टार्ट हुआ था, तो उस समय हमारा यूथ या हमारे विद्यार्थी जो हैं वो इतने ज्यादा टेक्नो सेवी नहीं थे, वो मोबाइल अपना यूज करते थे, ठीक है, हर फैमिली एफर्ट्स भी नहीं करती थी। किंतु अब जो ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन का जो कॉन्सेप्ट आया और कोविड के कारण जब ऑफलाइन क्लासेस पॉसिबल नहीं हुई, तो हर एक विद्यार्थी जो है, स्पेशली हायर एजुकेशन में, तो हर एक विद्यार्थी जो है वो मोबाइल्स का उपयोग करते हुए जो है वो एजुकेशन ले रहा है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में उसके पास जो नई नई तकनीकें हैं उससे वो जुड़ चुका है। आज डिजिटल पेमेंट्स की बात करते हैं तो डिजिटल पेमेंट्स छोटा बच्चा भी बहुत आसानी से फोन पे, गूगल पे, पेटीएम, इन सब चीजों को समझता है, और उनको जब वो समझता है तो वो आसानी से अपने आसपास के लोगों को, हमें बहुत बड़े लेवल पर नहीं जाना है, जो हमारा हायर एजुकेशन का जो स्टूडेंट है वो जिस लोकेलिटी में रहता है, जिस जियोग्राफिकल एरिया में रहता है, उसको केवल अपने आसपास देखना है और उसको टारगेट बना लेना है कि साल में मैं ये 5 लोगों को या 10 लोगों को, एक मिनिमम जो भी उससे संभव हो सकता है, इन लोगों को मैं जो है लिटरेट करने में हेल्प करूंगा, उनको साक्षर होने में मदद करूंगा। तो सबसे पहली जो साक्षरता होगी वो उसके अक्षर ज्ञान को लेकर होगी। अब यहाँ पर अक्षर ज्ञान और ये सारी चीजें जब वो एक बार उसमें ललक लग जाएगी तो निश्चित तौर पर हमारा जो 100% साक्षरता वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो फुलफिल होगा। यहाँ पर मैं एनएसओ द्वारा, नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑफिस द्वारा जो आंकड़े जारी किए गए हैं साक्षरता आदि को लेकर अपनी 75th रिपोर्ट्स में, तो उसके अंतर्गत में एक बात आपको संज्ञान में लाना चाहूंगा, पैनलिस्ट को भी और अन्य लोगों को भी, कि अभी साक्षरता के मार्ग में जो सबसे बड़ी रुकावट है वो हमारे हिंदी भाषी राज्य हैं। हमारे जो 6 बड़े राज्य हैं जिनकी हम बात करें कि जिनका राष्ट्रीय साक्षरता का जो औसत है वो राष्ट्रीय औसत से भी कम है और गंभीर है, तो उन 6 राज्यों में हमारे 2 राज्य हैं दक्षिण के, जो आंध्र प्रदेश और तेलंगाना है। लेकिन अगर हम हिंदी भाषी राज्यों की बात करें तो राजस्थान, बिहार, उत्तर प्रदेश और मध्य प्रदेश, यानी ये 4 हिंदी भाषी राज्य वो राज्य हैं जिनका साक्षरता का जो औसत है या प्रतिशत है वो हमारे राष्ट्रीय प्रतिशत से भी काफी कम है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में हमें 100% साक्षरता को अचीव करने के लिए पूरा फोकस इन राज्यों पर केंद्रित करना होगा। साथ में मैं एक उल्लेख करना चाहूंगा साक्षर भारत मिशन 2012। तो साक्षर भारत मिशन 2012 में पूरे भारत में पंचायत स्तर पर लोक शिक्षा केंद्र की स्थापना का अवधारणा प्रस्तुत की गई थी, जिसमें यह कहा गया था कि त्रिस्तरीय पंचायती राज व्यवस्था में हम प्रत्येक पंचायत स्तर पर एक लोक शिक्षा केंद्र की स्थापना करेंगे। इसके लिए अलग से बजट की व्यवस्था की गई थी, एक समिति 10 सदस्यों की एक समिति का गठन था। तो यदि हम इन लोक शिक्षा केंद्रों को पुनर्जीवित कर दें या कहीं अगर वो प्रचलन में हैं तो उनकी सक्षमता में वृद्धि कर दें और उनके साथ उस गांव में निवास करने वाले हमारे हायर एजुकेशन के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनको क्लब कर दें, तो ऐसा करके हम जो है 100% साक्षरता के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करेंगे। बस इसी के साथ मैं अपने इस डिस्कशन को विराम देता हूँ। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच प्रोफेसर राकेश सर। बहुत अच्छा लगा आपके व्यूज सुनकर एंड आपने काफी वेरिड एग्जांपल्स दिए, so I'm very grateful so that you could take out time and be here and share your valuable inputs. Thank you so much. With this we come to the end of the panel discussion for today, and I now invite the other participants to please pose any questions. The room is open, the floor is open. If you have any questions for the panelists, please feel free to unmute and ask.
West Bengal also. Among cow belt area, English speaking is perhaps there is Rajasthan also. Other states are not. Prayer is power. ये लिखा तो इसके जवाब में इसमें ये कटिंग डाली कि वो अब्दुल कलाम बचन गया तो क्या हुआ ये भी देखो उसमें क्या बोला।
Hello, but
Yes,
Parinita,
Rajesh.
yeah, I think Dr. Yaso Shah wanted to say something, but I am not able to hear him.
I think he's on unmute and I'm not sure. Shah sir. I think some disturbance from that side. So I once again invite the participants to please ask questions if you have any to any of the panelists who are there with us today. Please do not hesitate. Any question, anything that you wish to ask. Sia?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, hi
Hello.
Sia. I just wanted to check with you. You had a question?
Yes. Thank you, Parinita. Yes, I wanted to know that कि कैसे जैसे हम वॉलंटियरिज्म की बात कर रहे हैं तो इसका रोल आने वाले टाइम में काफ़ी बढ़ने वाला है, जैसे कि हमारे न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में भी इसकी चर्चा हुई है। लेकिन हम इस वॉलंटियरिज्म को कैसे लेके आएंगे, उसका क्या कोई अभी तक इस तरीके का स्ट्रेटजी, इस तरीके का प्रॉपर प्लानिंग बना है? और हमारा एज एडल्ट लर्नर या जो हम लोग एडल्ट एजुकेशन पे काम करने वाले जो यहाँ पे हैं, तो क्या हमारे पास कुछ ऐसा हमने कोई पॉलिसी बनाई है? हमारे क्या फ्यूचर प्लान्स क्या है कि हम कैसे वॉलंटियरिज्म को शामिल करेंगे इसमें? मैं इसके बारे में थोड़ा जानना चाहता हूँ।
तो सिया, आप किससे ये सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं पैनलिस्ट में से? So you can direct it.
एल राजा सर से।
Okay. Professor Raja sir, the question is for you.
Yes, I am available.
Okay. Sia, could you please repeat the question once again?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sia this
Yes,
side.
good afternoon. Yes, please
Sir,
carry on.
I wanted to know that how the volunteerism is going to play their role in the future learning. As we know that in this COVID-19 period, we all are facing so much hindrance in the education. Most of the learners are not able to access online education. They are almost leaving their education due to this COVID-19. So how the volunteerism play a role in the coming time to make them also literate?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I just like to say a few words about that. Number one, you know, it's a great difficult, and it is difficult also because the volunteerism is not so easy. But at the same time, unless there is some system which involves, like, in the new education policy, the credit system, they have introduced two important things. One is skill-oriented training, and it's a must, and value-oriented curriculum is also very important. These two important aspects they have introduced in the new education policy as a credit papers, whether it is a 2 credits or 4 credits, whatever. In some universities they are doing it as a 2 credit. In some universities they are taking it up as a 4 credit. So such a way we have to include the volunteers. If you make it as a compulsory, it is not, there is no volunteerism in this. But whomsoever, we will allow the volunteers to come forward and to take up this responsibility and do it on their own, right? Once they do that, then we should have some provisions to provide credit system for them. And like for example, extension activities, when they are going for extension activities in the villages or wherever it is possible, and for such students we have to identify, give them proper recognitions and credit system for them, and such credits will be enable them to get more credits. Say for example, a political science student is studying, and if he wants to do something in the panchayat level, so let him do, or let the students can do. For them, a separate credit system has to be introduced, so that for them, that they are not going and wasting their time, number one, and they must be also very sincere that there is a possibility of gaining more credit system. That is. So the question that you have raised, during the pandemic time, we were unable to go out, move out, and even there are volunteers who could not do much work. Yes, it is true. But at the same time, we do not know how long this is going to persist and how long this is going to continue. But at the same time, once, if this becomes normalized, the government of India is taking enough steps to curb this and reduce this spreading the virus. And more than 65% of the entire country, they have been, vaccinated. So if each state takes us as a really very strict manner, then within 6 months to 1 year, the virus spread would be 60 to 80% will be controlled, and there won't be any problem. From the next year onwards, the volunteerism will be more effective, and there won't be any virus, and there won't be any problem, because from this year, many institutions, higher education institutions, have started adopting the new education policy. So within a year, things will change, and many universities will come forward to implement this new education policy. So in such a way, the volunteerism will definitely come up, and then it will grow more. And I'm sure I am more positive, and I'm more pragmatic also, that it is possible young students like you would be able to do something great, something good to the society, if you really wish, if you really are willing to do this work. And it is possible, and it's not only the youth of this country and those who are studying in the village, the university, but there are students even having been studied, and for them also we have to bring them together for this mission mode activities. So I'm sure that this will serve the purpose, your question. If not, then I would explain more in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I hope.
Parinita, may I add a few points? Because I'm also a practitioner on this. So if you have time, I can add a few points for a question of Sia Bihari.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Binoy,
Thank you.
please go
Please
ahead.
do.
Thank you, Raja sir. Over to Binoy.
Yeah, Sia, this, as Rajesh sir was mentioning, and Dr. Raja was also mentioning, the NEP is anyway providing a credit aspect. But more than that, education, the purpose of education is number one, providing qualifications for the students and aspirants. And along with that, to create a quality human beings. That is also one of the main purpose of education, to make quality human beings, better human beings. So this volunteerism makes a human being. The problem of why this NEP has inducted this credit system for volunteerism is mainly our education system didn't have even though we have this NYKS and NSS, it's only limited number of people were participating. So if it is a program which is going to credit and marks for the participation, in a more maximum number of students will participate. That will help them become better human beings. Because volunteerism is like helping somebody, like Dr. Raja was mentioning, those who, even in the neighborhood, those who are not aware of how to use mobile phones, digital literacy or financial literacy or basic academic literacy. So helping somebody is going to make you a better human being, the empathy, those kind of quality, without you knowing that you will earn and imbibe. Number one. And this, if such an initiative is going to be initiated across the country, this is also going to be a huge nation building purpose. Because our country has a huge number of people who are illiterates, who are less educated, who are not even completed high school education. So this is going to help the nation as a whole if there is a huge movement. For example, I'm coming from a state called Kerala. From there, we have the first 100% literacy as town, as well as the district is from Kerala, Kottayam and Ernakulam. So we were able to achieve it through volunteerism by the college students, mainly college students led by many professors. That is the main pillar of the 100% literacy movement of this Kottayam districts and Ernakulam. So this, if implemented across the board, maybe during this 75th year of celebration, if it is implemented across the country, it won't take much time for achieving 100% literacy. So overall, this is going to be a great benefit academically as well as intellectually. Thank you, Sia.
Thank you, Binoy, for your inputs. I think Sia just left the meeting, but I'm sure he heard most of it. So thank you so much. Anybody else who wishes to ask a question or maybe comment on anything that has been discussed so far, please feel free to pitch in and share your inputs. Okay, so if not, then on behalf of the department and on behalf of the head of the
Vanita?
department. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think Dr. Binay is a very good, he has given a very good,
Sir,
additions.
I'm a scholar, research scholar, sir.
Okay, whatever, research scholars or whatever, you are going to be a future doctor. So, that is not a problem. As the best human being is more important. So I really welcome that creating a better human being, that is okay. But we are losing a lot of values of the human values, because in the name of education, and we are also forgetting many things. When Mahatma Gandhi said once that you lose yourself in the service of others. So in order to do service, you have to lose yourself. Exactly, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I think this quotation is much more important, what Gandhiji said, in the present context. It is otherwise, then there won't be any good humanity or good citizens in the future. Because the more responsibility now, once we have problems, we all come together and fight and we'll come together and work. It should not be like this. So quality education comes only through activities and action and extension activities. So if a person would be able to meet the challenges, what it comes before him, and only then that person is really capable of doing something good for him, for himself, for his family, and the society. So such kind of education is much more important. Like Swami Vivekananda said that man-making education is much more important. And when you say man-making education, naturally what Mahatma Gandhi said, that you have to lose yourself in order to serve others, so that this society will be a safer society. It will be a real society with peace and tranquility. So thank you, and I'm really grateful to the University of Delhi for having organized this and invited us to be a panel member and discuss with you. And I'm happy that this concept is really picking up very well. And once it is started implementing, then it will really have its very good triple effect. As I said earlier, that 1,008 universities are there and 40,000 colleges are there. In each university adopts 5,000 students in a year from now, 2021 to 2035, 14 years are there. And each university, if adopts with 5,000 students, it comes around 50 lakhs students involving in that from the university sector. And from 40,000 colleges, if each college devotes 2,000 students in that, 8 crore students are would be involving in such activities. So 8 crores, 50 lakhs, that is 8.5. If once they all involve in 1 year, within 1 year, there would be a lot of changes in this directions. So like that, we have to work. But for that, as somebody said, that political will and government involvement, people's participation, which are all very important in order to achieve this goals. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Raja sir, once again. I think you summed it up beautifully. Thank you so much. And as we come towards the end of the event today, on behalf of the department, I thank all the panelists, who took out time to be here. And also on behalf of our HOD, Professor Rajesh sir, he just had to step out for a selection committee meeting. So unfortunately, he's not here at the moment to thank each one of us who was here. So thank you once again, and we wish to meet soon on similar occasions to discuss many more different type of topics related to lifelong learning. So thank you so much.
Thank you all who all participated. Thank you.